Hello everyone, I'm Digital Halo and today we have a bit of a different video. I'll be sharing my tips to climb in ranked solos and duos in Harry Potter Magic Awakened. If you like this sort of content, please swish and flick the subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 1,500 subscribers, and if you have any tips that I didn't cover in this video or you have any questions for me, comment them down below and I'll respond to every single comment, and I love hearing from all of you. So I'm making this video because I know a lot of you come to my channel to find interesting decks to climb the rank ladder with. I'm Magic Awakened rank in both solos and duos as of yesterday, and I did this with cards that aren't too high leveled. My cards without any echo boosts are anywhere between levels 9 and 10, except for my one win con card, which is usually around level 11. I do this because I want everyone to be able to relate to my content. I know not everybody spends money on the game, and the average person in my rank is usually 1 to 2 levels higher than me. And I want to let you guys know that it's possible to win against people who are playing higher level cards than you at any rank. So let's get into my tips to help you climb the rank ladder. My first tip is to make sure your settings match how you want to see the game. This makes a huge difference. I didn't know how big a difference it made until I made a new account to play with some of my friends in duos, and I felt blind without all the HP bars of all the players and the summons. My tip is to make sure you have enough information on your screen, but not too much information. And here are my recommendations. There's no one size fits all for everybody, so let's go into what I would do. If you go to the bottom left, there's a settings button, and from there you go to gameplay. And you can turn on player names. Honestly, that doesn't matter, but summon levels is something I find useful so you know how much effort you have to put into killing their summons, and the health values are also really important, so I have those on as well. And if you go to the bottom, you can check what your teammate has in hand in duos. Tip 2 is a little bit of something I need to work on as well, and it has to do with movement cards. First up, don't waste movement cards. Don't just use movement cards because you're restless. But apart from that, stay within this rectangle right here. And the reason for that is you have more freedom of movement when you're in this rectangle. If you move to one of the corners, you have only 90 degrees of movement, whereas if you're in this rectangle right here, you have 360 degrees of movement, which makes you harder to predict during duels. Now, the exception to this is when you're running away from summons, you obviously have to go to where the summons are not, and you can't run forward into the summons. So just try to avoid the damage from the summons best you can while they're alive, and then get back into this rectangle right here. Tip number 3 is a really quick one. It's drink the draft of peace if you're under Grandmaster rank. I wish I knew this tip when I was trying to climb to Grandmaster. It would have made my climb so much quicker. It protects you from losing points or having your tier lowered if you lose your next 1 to 3 duels depending on the size of the drink you take. The fourth tip is you should look to counter cards that your opponent plays. I want to make a video series on how to counter cards, and I already made a video on how to counter Locomotor. The link for that will be in the description below. The general rule of thumb for this is you should usually spend less mana than your opponent to counter a card unless you get a creature at the end of it that survives the interaction. Otherwise, you're just wasting mana. Something that goes hand in hand with this is figuring out your card rotation. If your opponent plays Atmospheric Charm to counter your Dragon Egg, for example, in the future, don't play Dragon Egg until they played Atmospheric Charm. And on the other side of this, if you have a counter to a card but you use it too early in your rotation, keep it in your hand next time it comes up and don't use it until you see the card you need to counter. For example, if you use Atmospheric Charm to deal damage to the enemy, and they're running a Dragon Egg in that deck, you might want to think about only using Atmospheric Charm from then on in that duel when you want to counter Dragon Egg. My final tip is be aware of the meta, but don't play something that's just meta because it's meta. Not everybody's going to be great with every playstyle. For example, I'm not the best with Snape. I realized this when I was trying to get a Snape Time Turner deck video out for you guys, and I could not find a win with it. I gave that deck list to my friend, and he got 7 wins in a row and hit Diamond real quick. Every Echo has a different playstyle, and you might not be comfortable with spam decks or spell heavy decks or time turner decks, but you'll be good at least one of them, and that's all you need to climb. Every Echo has at least one good deck that is really good to climb with. For example, Hagrid, you have Locomotor decks and Dragon Egg decks. Bellatrix is just OP, so you can play anything with her. Harry has some really cheap spam decks that are great in solos. Neville has his Fortress of Death deck. Hermione has her Thunderstorm and Whizbang decks. Newt has his Zoo spam deck. Dobby has Avada Kedavra. Snape has his Obscurus Kevin deck. That is absolutely wild. And I'm not saying you shouldn't try to play other decks or give up trying to play any other deck. It's definitely good to branch out and try different playstyles. I'm just saying if you want to climb really quick, you might want to stick to one deck in ranked so you can climb really fast. In my quest to make a Snape video for you guys on this channel, I ended up trying it out and I ended up really liking Snape, and he's one of my 3 favorite Echoes now to play with. Those were my 5 tips to dominate in ranked. If you have any other tips, go ahead and put them in the comments below.